Formula One is a game of millimeters and millions. Teams burn through vast fortunes just to find a fraction of a tenth of a second on track. But while Red Bull and McLaren are busy fighting over flexing wings and floor legality, Haas just pulled off the ultimate engineering heist. With Toyota Gazoo Racing stepping quietly into their garage, Haas didn't just find a tiny gray area in the rulebook. They found a multi-million-dollar loophole in the FIA's computational fluid dynamics regulations, one that gives them corporate supercomputing power without touching their strictly capped aerodynamic testing quota. And the best part? The FIA is completely powerless to stop it. To understand why rival technical directors are losing their minds right now, you have to look at how Formula One artificially caps intelligence. Under the FIA's aerodynamic testing restrictions, or ATR, your position in the Constructors' Championship directly dictates how much time you get to test. It is a sliding scale. Win the championship, and you get crushed with a severely reduced testing allocation. Finish near the bottom, and you get more. It is designed to level the playing field. But testing doesn't just mean running a physical model inside a wind tunnel. That is only half the battle. The real war happens inside digital supercomputers running computational fluid dynamics. CFD is virtual aerodynamics. It lets engineers build a digital twin of an F1 car, pump millions of simulated air molecules around it, and see exactly where vortex structures collapse or downforce bleeds away. It is fast, it is lethal. And because of that, the FIA regulates CFD compute time with an absolute iron fist. The FIA measures CFD usage in incredibly strict metrics. They track allocation units, compute hours, megaflops, and grid cell counts. You can't just throw 1,000 server racks at a front wing concept and run millions of iterations. The moment your digital simulations exceed your assigned ATR quota, the FIA hits you with catastrophic penalties, fines, wind tunnel bans, championship point deductions. Every single team is locked inside this digital prison. Ferrari has to count every single solve. Mercedes has to meter their cluster utilization. Red Bull has to budget every simulation mesh down to the individual hour, except Haas. For years, Haas was the leanest outfit on the grid. They bought every non-listed part they legally could from Ferrari. They outsourced chassis manufacturing to Dallara in Italy. They rented time in Ferrari's Maranello wind tunnel. They operated out of 3 different countries with a skeleton crew. It was cheap, but it was fragile. They had no deep corporate R&D spine. When the mid-season development wars kicked off, Haas routinely fell off a cliff. They simply didn't have the engineering bandwidth to iterate fast enough to keep up with the giants. Then came Toyota. When Toyota Gazoo Racing announced their multi-year technical partnership with Haas, rival teams didn't panic. They initially thought it was just a driver development program. A clever marketing deal. People saw Toyota logos on the rear wing and assumed Toyota was just writing checks and sending junior mechanics to get F1 experience. They were wrong. Dead wrong. What Toyota and Haas actually built is a legally airtight, parallel processing pipeline, a system that completely bypasses the intent of the FIA's aerodynamic restrictions without breaking a single word of the written law. To see how this works, you have to break down what the FIA actually regulates in Section F of the operational code. The FIA regulates the simulation of fluid flow around specific 3D geometries representing a Formula One car or its components. If your computer is solving Navier-Stokes equations over the surface of an F1 front wing, floor, or side pod, that solve counts against your ATR quota. Read that definition very carefully. The FIA regulates the aerodynamic simulation of the car surface itself. It does not regulate methodology development. It does not regulate internal structural stress modeling. It does not regulate carbon fiber layup flow dynamics. It does not regulate thermal cooling simulations inside manufacturing molds. And most importantly, it does not regulate the core mathematical algorithms used to make CFD solvers run faster. This is where Toyota Gazoo Racing enters the chat. Toyota operates one of the most advanced automotive computational facilities on planet Earth. Their supercomputing clusters in Cologne and Japan run continuous, high-level simulations for World Endurance Championship hypercars, World Rally Championship machinery, and global production vehicles. Under this new technical partnership, Toyota is providing Haas with dedicated engineering hardware, manufacturing capacity, and data infrastructure. But they aren't running unauthorized F1 front wing simulations on Toyota servers. That would be wildly illegal. Instead, Toyota's massive computational division works entirely on the toolchain. Think of CFD simulation like digital rendering. If you have a poorly optimized rendering engine, solving one aerodynamic frame takes 1,000 supercomputing hours. It wastes your quota. But if you optimize the grid meshing algorithm, clean up the turbulence modeling code, and refine the solver equations, that exact same solve takes 10 hours. Toyota is doing all the heavy lifting on software methodology, mesh refinement engines, synthetic data generation, code optimization. None of that solver code development involves an F1 car geometry. Therefore, zero allocation units are deducted from Haas's FIA cap. When Haas engineers actually load an F1 floor geometry into their computer, they aren't using off-the-shelf slow commercial solvers like everyone else. They are using an ultra-optimized, bespoke CFD pipeline pre-tuned by Toyota's world-class computational scientists. Where a team like Williams or Alpine might waste 30% of their FIA compute quota just processing noisy mesh grids and resolving solver errors, Haas gets crisp, hyper-accurate, perfectly converging aerodynamic solves on the very first try. Every single teraflop of Haas's FIA-allowed CFD quota is burned on pure, high-value aerodynamic iteration. They get 10 times the actionable data out of the exact same FIA limit. Efficiency multiplication, fully legal, subtle, brutal. But the CFD solver optimization is only the first layer of this technical masterclass. The second layer involves the physical to digital transition, the operational strategy. For a floor to generate ground effect downforce under heavy cornering load, it can't just be aerodynamically efficient in a computer. It has to be structurally rigid where you want it stiff. It has to flex predictably where you want aeroelastic sealing. In modern ground effect F1, flex discipline is everything. If your floor warps 3 millimeters too much at 200 miles per hour, the underbody vortex explodes. The car porpoises, your lap time evaporates. Normally, an F1 team has to spend precious physical testing time and compute power testing carbon fiber deformation under aerodynamic load. It eats into their cap. Toyota took over carbon fiber design, stress modeling, and structural manufacturing for Haas components. Toyota engineers simulate resin flow, carbon weave stress, and heat deformation in their own facilities under manufacturing research parameters. They deliver carbon parts to Haas that are pre-validated for structural flexing characteristics before Haas even mounts them to the wind tunnel model. Look at the dual pipeline dynamic this creates. It is a masterpiece of operational strategy. Haas maintains its access to Scuderia Ferrari's top-tier wind tunnel in Maranello. They don't need to build a new wind tunnel in Cologne. They don't need to waste hundreds of millions replicating Ferrari's rolling road infrastructure. They keep the Maranello tunnel access to validate ground effect floor physics directly alongside Ferrari's data stream. Simultaneously, they tap into Toyota's industrial manufacturing powerhouse in Japan and Cologne. While Ferrari provides the power unit, gearbox, and rear suspension, Toyota provides the computational brute force, simulator infrastructure, and rapid prototype carbon manufacturing. Haas has effectively split their technical overhead between two of the biggest automotive titans on the planet. Ferrari handles the mechanical core. Toyota handles the digital and structural accelerator. Haas operates strictly in the middle, as a hyper-agile assembly and race ops team. Rival teams are utterly furious. Under the cost cap, nobody expected a tiny team to construct an alliance network this deeply integrated and powerful. When Christian Horner or Toto Wolff look at Haas now, they don't see a budget team struggling to keep the lights on. They see a lean strike unit backed by Toyota's supercomputers and Ferrari's wind tunnel. The telemetry data Haas can now process rivals the top 3 teams. So why can't the FIA just step in and ban it? Because to ban this, the FIA would have to rewrite the fundamental definition of corporate supply partnerships across all of Formula One. If the FIA tells Haas that they cannot use Toyota to optimize their CFD solver software or build carbon components, then the FIA has to tell Mercedes that they cannot use Petronas for fuel fluid dynamics research. They have to tell Aston Martin that they cannot use Aramco's computing centers for combustion analysis. They have to tell Sauber and Audi that they cannot share general corporate software development with their parent company. The FIA cannot outlaw general engineering services without collapsing the entire commercial foundation of F1 technical sponsorships. Toyota didn't break the rule. They read the regulation. They identified the exact line where F1 aerodynamic surface simulation ends and software and material manufacturing optimization begins, and they built an entire technical pipeline right on top of that line. This is why Ayao Komatsu was smiling during pre-season press conferences. While everyone thought Haas was just surviving, they were quietly executing a brilliant operational strategy designed specifically for the next generation of F1 regulations. As the sport moves into new aerodynamic and engine shifts, the teams that win won't just be the ones with the biggest budgets. They will be the ones that squeeze 200% efficiency out of every single byte of data allowed by the FIA. Haas and Toyota just proved that in modern Formula One, you don't need to outspend the rulebook when you can outsmart the software. If you want to see how this technical partnership plays out on the track and keep up with the deepest engineering breakdowns in racing, hit subscribe right now. Drop a comment below and let me know. Did Toyota just create the ultimate modern F1 cheat code, or will rivals force the FIA to step in anyway? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.